Standard Gains Podcast, Episode 5, Take 1.
Here we go. As of right now, we have around 69,000 views, listeners, downloads on all platforms and all the episodes so far. We have 6.7k subscribers on YouTube, so thank you so much for that. Today, we are going to find out, how did you afford this 200k studio? How much money are you making through YouTube? But before we get into that, I have 3 dilemmas. This time it is based on YouTube. Okay.
So, it is a good thing that you need at least 4,000 hours of watch time before being monetized, or you should be able to be monetized right from the start.
It's a good thing.
It is a good thing that you get paid more in certain niches than others, or YouTube should fix this and everyone should get the same.
This is a hard one.
Now, say
it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. And the last one, when it comes to monetization, upload a normal, simple video every day, which all performs pretty good, or an epic video once a week, which could potentially go viral.
One great video a week that could potentially go viral.
Okay, so first one is the 4,000 hours of watch time. Just super fast. You need to get 4,000 hours of watch time on your channel and 1,000 subscribers to get monetized. That's sort of for people watching.
Yes.
Why is that better?
Why is that threshold being there is better than not having it? Because back in the day, when I started, it wasn't there. I would say it's a good thing because it sort of excludes all the random videos on the internet, on YouTube, that are uploading just once or twice or 5 times a year, maybe even only for the family, but also just random videos that get a few thousand views, because all of those used to be getting ads, and that's a lot of views. Because you think, oh, it's only a few thousand views, but that times 100 million users. So there are so many people uploading like random videos. So if you have that threshold, then you get all those ads on those hundreds of millions of views, billions of views actually. You can get that to the real creators on the platform that are over 4,000 watch hours. And that's quite a lot.
The main reason I ask is because, of course, now I said from nothing or 4,000. I feel, but that's also just because I've not made the 4,000 hours within 1 year yet, that it's pretty hard to do, even if you're consistent as a starting YouTuber.
So it definitely, and the 1,000 subscribers, that's easy. You will get that within a year. But it really shows also, it's great. So you need to put in the work. You need to put in the time. You need to create videos consistently. It's not a short term like that. 4,000 watch hours is 240,000 watch minutes, actually. So that is even more. So it sounds crazy. But actually, when you upload a video and you are a decent YouTuber, you get that per video at least, or even more, way more. That means that if you would be earning those small amounts, so you would be getting like the monetized from the start, those 4,000 watch hours or just few thousand views that is, I think that's like it depends on how long your videos are, obviously.
And how long people are watching per video.
But that would still be a few bucks a month, so that wouldn't even be significant, but just compiling all those small channels would result into a lot less money flowing into the real creators on the website, which everyone can be, but they need to put in the work.
Fair. So the second one, again, I'll do a very short explanation. It was about, so certain niches, for example, if you're in the finance niche, you will get paid more per 1,000 views than if you are in the workout niche. And I ask you, is that a good thing or should it be divided more equally? You said it is a good thing.
It's a hard one because I like how the market works. So like demand and the amount of advertisers that want to advertise on channels that are about finance, they have more to spend because their products are more expensive. Like an entire insurance on a house is worth thousands and thousands, and they can pay a few hundred per ad even. And if you're going to sell a few dollar product, then the ads is only worth to make it profitable. There's only a few cents going into the ads there. Yeah.
So it makes sense that they're paying more for those ads. But that does mean that if you're in a certain niche, you're just lucky, sort of. And you always get paid more, even though your content isn't necessarily better than the content you're making.
Yeah, so that's the thing. People are going to be sort of drifting towards those high CPM content. And I would say make what you like, what you want to make. And if that is high CPM stuff, it's easier to make a living. But most of the time, those niches are also a little bit less volume there, because there's a lot more volume in the entertainment niche than finance. But finance is really taking off right now.
Maybe because of the high CPM.
Maybe because of the high CPM. So it is drifting a lot of people towards the high CPM without even having a lot of knowledge. So that is definitely a bad thing about it.
Pros and cons.
Ooh, it's a hard one. Yeah, it's a hard one.
If you're listening right now, you don't know what CPM is. We'll get into all of that when we look at Browney's actual revenue stream.
You briefly discussed it, but...
but we'll get into it much more depth later. Number 3 was the video every single day, or the epic one. I know you try and go for the epic one once a week.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, but that's why I said for revenue, wouldn't it be better to have one single day?
For revenue-wise, it depends, because with like the one video a day, you can have a lot of uploads, and you need to have consistent viewers. And if you're going to upload daily and want to have consistent viewers, you're probably in the entertainment niche with a younger audience most of the time. That's what vloggers are right now. You do have
some crypto channels and other things
uploading daily, because those niches are very. They're less saturated right now because, I mean, entertainment has been around forever.
True.
And the crypto channels and the finance channels, that's been taken off since 2018 or something. And the entertainment since 2005, or 8, 10. So there's a big difference there. And for some, it works, yes. And they're probably getting also like a CPM or RPM of 10. So their views are worth a lot more instead of the lower paid channels like entertainment.
But still, one epic one per week max. That's what I'm doing right now. Why? Because I think if you are making really good content and the rest of the world thinks this as well, you can reach a lot more people with one video, which could potentially also generate much more. And in the long term of your channel, your content is not just daily. So if you upload that content and a week later, no one is watching that anymore. It's not relevant anymore.
Because it's not relevant anymore. That's how most of those vlogs and news channels work. If I upload a great video right now and YouTube likes it, people like it, hopefully, then it can get 10 million views in the first year. But if we look in 10 years, it might have 100 million views. Who knows? And because it's just like exponential. That's what I've seen. And also, second thing is I have noticed that YouTube really likes giving your content some air to breathe and to let it live on your channel a little bit. Also generate some more views so people can actually find your because not everyone has the time to watch every single day.
Of course. Yeah.
That's why.
Okay, cool. So those were the 3 dilemmas.
But it depends per channel. So it is very interesting. But yeah.
Yeah. So normally if we have a guest or when I'm interviewing or you're interviewing someone, we now go into the daily routine, all those things. We've discussed this and went over your non-existing routines in episode 1. For those interested, check it out. It is still there after listening to this podcast.
Definitely.
Today's topic is how much, and this is something a lot of people have actually asked whenever we do a Q&A.
Yeah,
I know
definitely.
you get it often. So how much are you actually making? How much is YouTube paying you? So let's go through the journey financially.
Let's go through it. And actually, I hope this does not come off like as bragging or something like that, but I really want to, I've noticed that people find this very inspiring even, or to see like, yeah, there is potential here. I started in 2013. Up until 2019, I thought, is this even like worth it?
And that's a long time.
That's a long time. I hope this maybe motivates some people, and maybe this is interesting, and there are definitely a lot of tips in here so as well, so maybe you'll learn some from it as well.
I'm sure they will.
And I had some sort of a rant about YouTube money some time ago. Last year, beginning of 2020, I made a video on how much I was making, and it was not a lot, and
not enough to buy the studio.
Not enough to buy the studio, which was is a year ago. So that's crazy. And I sort of owe it to people that how it's going right now, sort of an update. Am I doing all right now? Because back then I felt like I wasn't doing as a business, not all right as money, because I thought there was no future in it. But
okay. Let's go into it. For just this little side note, if you are listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, we are actually showing the actual numbers and the graphs on the screen right now. So if you can, you would like to, you can always hop into YouTube, but don't worry, you can also keep listening, because we'll make sure that it's just a nice little extra thing, but you don't need to see the screen
definitely
at all. So let's hop into
my analytics.
Your analytics and the first year that you started making.
So I started in 2013, May 19th. And on the graph that I have in front of me in YouTube Studio, it says that I have made zero money up until 2016, July 26th. That's because I'm not sure why it's not in here. Everything was monetized and everything was going through AdSense. So if I go to my AdSense account, August 13th, 2013, we have a zero earnings in the month. That was the first month of YouTube. Second month, 28 cents. Third month, €1.42, and it goes on like that.
Slowly goes up.
I'm just scrolling through years actually now, and at some point it was like $9 in a month in 2014, 15, and it stays on there because at this point I joined an MCN. And an MCN is sort of multi-channel network. That's where like they can help you with ads and also with like music for your channel, copyright-free stuff like that. So I thought it was a great thing to do that. Wasn't the best MCN. They also took 30% of your revenue.
What's normal for an MCN?
That was cool.
I mean, nowadays,
that was kind of a lot, but it also depends on the channels. I have heard that big channels are still having MCNs with like 5%, which is still an insane amount. Some YouTubers are making out there like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. 5% of that is quite a lot. Yeah. But I would say for really big channels, it could be like 1%, or some do even free, so they can use their name.
Okay.
And they help them with ads, like I said, like setting up ads or brand deals even. Or if you have copyright reasons, problems, they could go to the company and contact them, stuff like that.
So you joined an MCN in 2014?
At like 70-30 or maybe 60-40, something crazy like that.
So they got 40% of your €9. Whew.
Yeah, so that was basically, so all right. Yeah. But yeah, that's the journey. And then it stayed like that, like €9, $30, maybe a little bit more for actually a long time. I'm scrolling through my AdSense now, and at some point we can see, or I have in 2016, August, I am making $2 to $10, $25 a day. This is a day.
Yep.
So there is a peak there, and then it goes down to $1 again. Let's go to 2016, the entirety of 2016. It was $1,529.90.
I mean, how old were you here?
I was 16.
16. So you were making about $100, a bit more, $120 a month.
Yeah.
At 16, which is not even that bad.
No, this was, I was just doing the stuff and I was liking what I was doing. But at this point, my parents were like, hey, you need to maybe start making some money. And then I did have some days, like $50 in a day. That was crazy to me.
Epic.
Which is epic. Yeah, that's epic. My RPM here was...
What is RPM?
RPM. Okay, so let's talk about RPM and CPM real quick. That is how the YouTube payment system works. We also got the question on Instagram quite a lot. How does it actually work? So real quick, CPM is cost per mil. That is what you get paid per 1,000 views according to YouTube. So if you have 1,000 paid views with ads on them, you get, for example, it does not say anything here right now because you can see that YouTube started adding a lot of, for people listening, YouTube started adding a lot of different analytics throughout the years, and CPM wasn't part of that. RPM actually also not, so I'm not too sure why I can see that right now. But the CPM is what you get per 1,000 views with ads. But that is also without YouTube's cut taken away. So YouTube's cut still needs to be taken away there. And not every single view is monetized.
Because of ad blockers or because of...
Ad blockers, stuff like that.
I think back in the day, but maybe this is irrelevant, I remember when I watched a YouTube video, I saw, this has an ad, I just pressed refresh and the ad was gone.
Nowadays, if you refresh, then there is... Most of the time, always an ad. So there are a lot of ads, and ads have been going up and down because there was around a time, we will get to there, but now we're talking about ad revenue and stuff like that. There was an adpocalypse where YouTube all the advertisers pulled back their ads because a certain YouTuber did something that ads were like, well, we're not going to support this platform. Now most of them are back. Most of them are already back and more. So lots of new businesses as well. So that's great. Because one YouTuber should actually not be able to influence the entire platform, but it did back then. And I think it could still happen if a Mr. Beast did something like that. I highly doubt he would. CPM is the measurement. So it could say like $10 per 1,000 views, but in reality, you're actually getting without YouTube's cut and without all the ad blocker and stuff like that. In reality, it's actually 2, 3 RPM. And RPM, that is the official around what you're getting per 1,000 views realistically. So if you have 1 million views a month, a channel has 1 million views a month, and there is like an RPM of 2 or 3, then you can multiply that by 2 or 3, and you have $2,000 to $3,000.
Exactly, divide by 1,000, multiply by.
Exactly.
Yeah. One more question on this. YouTube Premium doesn't have any ads.
YouTube Premium, people are paying for YouTube Premium, and YouTube is actually paying that to creators. I would say maybe 50-50 split or something. But a viewer on YouTube Premium is worth more than an ad, from my experience.
I think especially, and we'll get into that, of course, because you're in a relatively low-paying niche. And with this, it doesn't matter what niche you're in because there's no advertiser. So it's probably the same for every niche.
So I think that's why I said for me, I think if a guy in the finance niche has some premium, that might be lower.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's very interesting. I would like to know. Maybe there's a YouTuber listening to this or watching this. You can definitely let us know.
Okay, so we had 1,500 in 2016. We see the RPM, and the RPM, so that is how much you were actually getting, is going up near the end of the year. Now, I know...
A little bit, yeah.
So what I know from my experience is I have experience with Facebook ads. I know they get more expensive in the holiday season. I guess that's what the same happens on YouTube.
So the more you go towards the end of the year, the holiday season, Christmas, stuff like that, advertisers are willing to pay more. So advertisers are bidding against each other, and that is worth more because, well, the price is driven up. And near January, it's basically zero because,
everyone's out of
not
money.
Zero, but it's a lot less because people are spending less. Advertisers know that, and advertisers just spend their entire budget at the end of the year. So they're done. Like they're like taking it easy, and that's how that works. So that is basically the basics of how YouTube monetization works. You've got the niches, which includes the RPM, and then the amount of views times that, and also how advertisers are feeling.
Because prior to this recording this, I made a story on Instagram like any questions you have to stand about finance on YouTube, let me know. This was actually quite. A lot of people ask like, how does it work? So I think it's good that we covered this.
So that's $1,500 with 1.4 million views.
Okay.
So that's that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's nice for 16. You were just starting to make your money. Maybe let's go to the next year. What happened in 2017? Okay.
15,122.
We 10x'd.
28 cents. Yes, we 10x'd. How did that happen? Yeah, I mean, you can see that the average earnings per day were here.
In January, we're now in January.
$32 to 15, 14, and later in the year even 11, 9, stuff like that. And it is slowly going up.
Basically, I think till September it was relatively low, and in September you see for you it's actually starting to go up quite a bit.
Yes, and why is that? Actually has to do with the year before, because in 2016 I started uploading fitness content. And you saw it at the end, if you are listening to this, at the end of 2016, it started to go really up. Also because of the ads, but also because I started getting more views.
Yeah.
My channel started taking off. Before that, I was making videos for 3 years. So from 2013 to 2016, I was making videos about all random stuff. I started with gaming, good to keep in mind also for the RPM back then, which was relatively low at that time. And I started doing some skits and some random funny videos, entertainment-wise, mainly focused. And then I did a fitness video. I transformed my body in 1 year, uploaded a transformation video, and that took off. And that's why there was an increase in general in my revenue, which was great. And I started making more fitness videos because people were asking me for it and it was working. So I was doing something that was working and I was enjoying.
Which is very important.
Very important because I actually tried making fitness content before I uploaded the transformation one, like my best protein shake. It got half of the views that I normally got, which was 500 views instead of 1,000.
But that was what I was about to ask. How did your audience respond to you switching to workout videos from more random videos?
Luckily, everyone can create a body transformation video because people are clearly, at that point, I could see that as well, interested. So everyone that was subscribed to me at that point, like 1,000 people watched every single episode of mine. By the way, if you are one of those, epic, that is amazing. Shout out to you. Like 1,000 views, and they were used to entertainment content. And then I uploaded a fitness body transformation. But body transformation is putting yourself out to the world like, yo, look at my body now. I used to be not really healthy, and now I transform my body. That's motivating. People like that, and that's why like the fitness content before, like my best shake, people were like, what are you on about with your best shake? Where's your funny video?
Makes sense.
And now they wanted to know about the best shake or the best workout or my workout, because they wanted to do the same thing.
They saw the results and it was motivating.
So I started picking up fitness content, still did some entertainment stuff in there as well. Also in the fitness videos, because that's always been my thing. I like more the entertainment side.
You still do this in every single video.
Always. I try to keep it as entertaining as possible and just getting people started with working out or just a bit like more interested in working out, challenges, like challenging them and not necessarily being like, yo, you need to do A, Y, Z. You need to do step 1, step 2. It's just like, yo, follow us along on a workout. You're liking it. You can try to challenge yourself as well.
Which does work for some channels.
It works
just
really
very
well.
simple. these are the exercises, that's it.
Yeah, it works really
well.
It's
a choice.
Yeah, exactly. In 2017, I sort of upped the daily revenue from...
But you didn't upload for a while.
No, I did actually, but YouTube, we're in the YouTube studio here, but YouTube just sometimes does not like recognize some stuff here. So I did upload here.
Okay.
But I upped it from a few bucks a day, as we could see in 2016, to now $20 a day. And I made a video on pull-ups. Can't do pull-ups? Do this at 2017. And yeah, that's basically what I did for 2017. 20 million views in total.
So we more than 10x'd
the views.
We 10x'd the revenue, which must mean the RPM is lower.
The RPM is... that's a good one. The RPM is indeed lower. It is not... It was around $1, and now it is 75 cents. Well, I was enjoying everything here. It was going great.
You were 17 years old, making... I know this is not net, because maybe just a little side note here.
15,000 is pre-tax, and YouTube still sometimes takes a cut, but this is around what it is, so it is... pre-tax.
I think that's important to notice, because there's a lot of people who love to show their revenue and pretend that it's profit, especially if you are in the dropshipping world where you have, a lot of cost. They like to show, oh, look, I sold for $1 million, and I don't tell you they had 900K in cost. But
exactly. So, but
this is pre-tax.
This is pre-tax. At this point, wasn't too big because I started the company at the end of this year, actually. Before this, $1,500 a year, you don't need to pay taxes on that. At some point, I think above 12K, you need to start paying taxes. So this year, I wasn't going to make above that. And then my fitness videos started taking a little bit more off. I did more transformation videos as well, updates on that. And people like that. And it just started to go up. And I had a peak of $209 a day. And the lowest point was probably like $9 a day. So yeah, it's all over the place, but this was a fun year. I really enjoyed the content I was making, and I just enjoyed like the new stuff. 20 million views sounded like it is crazy.
It is a lot.
It sounded like crazy as well, because the year prior was 2 million. It's crazy.
2016 to 2017, we 10x'd. 2017 to 2018,
that should be 10x.
10x, 150K? Almost.
It's not. It's not. $18,096.74. And we started the year with $90 a day to sometimes $43 a day.
Something weird happened here.
I have $0 here. And this also shows how YouTube works, because there are some hiccups sometimes. There's something going wrong. And I asked YouTube, what's going wrong here? Because I'm not making any revenue. And they were like, oh yeah, we're not sure what exactly happens. And I never got that money. I mean, that's just how YouTube works. And
I think in general, when you're sort of relying on a third party, that's always a danger, right? So it's nothing you could have done. There's nothing you could have helped. But fortunately, it's just, like a week or so.
Might have been something with my MCN here, by the way. I think I did go from this is just a side note, maybe something with the MCN. By the way, would I recommend an MCN? Do your research. There are some great ones out there, but do your research, because I did not have the best one before this. I am still with the MCN. I'm liking it a lot. I have a great contact person as well, so there are definitely pros.
For sure.
This was like 10 days, something
10 days.
Oh, even more. This was 15 days, 14 days, with an average of $50 to $60 a day.
So you lost like almost a K.
I lost like $700, $800, $900, something like that.
Which on 18K is actually pretty decent chunk.
Yeah, that's a lot. So, because the beginning of the year was my better time, which we just discussed was not normal. But that's where I probably got more views, which we can see I actually did. I did get more views in the beginning of the year. With 25 million views in 2018, I generated 18,000, which is RPM-wise low, very low.
Yeah.
Because
you went up like 25%.
So we have an RPM of 72 cents, which is very low. Compare that to, like we said, crypto channels right now, or finance niche or car channels like that. Then that would be 25 million views with a 20 RPM.
Yes. Is that completely fair though? In like 3 years ago, did they also get such high RPMs in those niches?
Ooh, great question. I think they sort of, there were definitely channels that did that, but I've never been a finance channel.
We're not sure.
So again, I'm completely happy with that. This is the year after the insane growth. I still grew with 135,000 subscribers in 2018, which is also an insane amount. So great year, just a very low RPM, which back at that time, I had no clue really was a big deal. Or I thought I was just making the normal amount everyone was making. Now I was going around 18 years old. 19 years old was around the corner. I actually turned 19 this year. So at some point, you're doing all right.
I mean, making 800 a month. I mean, I think a lot of people you were probably still last year high school or whatever. You know, not a lot of people make just as a side hustle 800 or 900 a month.
True,
so it's not bad at all.
I was spending around 80 hours a week on this.
Okay, so we don't want to see how much you were making per hour.
We don't want to see how much I was making per hour. So, but again, I was completely happy with this, and I was like, all right, 18. This is putting in the work. This is amazing.
This is amazing. So this was 2018.
2019, $22,940.51. And we started the year off by making $30 a day to sometimes $21. Then it went up because I created a transformation series again, which did really well, $207 a day, peak in February, which was also the peak of the year. There
entire
was
year.
One peak that came close with 195 later that year. And the RPM did actually go up.
Quite a bit.
The RPM went up 1.21 cents.
From 72 cents.
From 72 cents, which is a crazy difference. Like 80%.
Yeah.
And if we compare it to the views, I actually got less views this year, but more. I got paid more. So
do you know why your RPM went up?
Maybe because my RPM was extremely low.
Okay.
So that could be the case for that. I still have days where I had like 75 cents. And you got to understand at this point, I was making videos that were still getting, which is, again, like great. 30,000 views per video was a really good video. So times 0.75 cents per 1,000 views would be like $25 for a video. Not even around that. So
and putting like 80 hours of work in it.
So that was 2 videos a week. So that was like 40 hours of work into one video sometimes. Yeah. And so you kind of get it.
Yeah. And there's 2 funny things here that I want to pick out what I right now see on the graph. So let me describe it. First of all, yes, we see the RPM going up again near the end of the year because it's the December peak. But if you go to your revenue, we see it go down at the end of the year, which must mean your views collapsed or something.
My views in 2019 went up, and then they went completely down at the end of 2019.
It's a big difference. So you had peak days where like you had over 100K views quite often, and then at the end of the year you were at what, like 20,000 views?
100, and at some point at the end of the year I had 215,000 views a day, and then it completely collapsed. Which
what happened?
Had actually a reason. Like I said, I sort of hinted to it in 2018. Yes, I'm 18, 19, and now I'm 20 around here, making $22,000, $23,000 a year pre-tax. So net probably like 16, 17. Meaning that I actually, that's less than minimum wage. I was earning less than minimum wage, and I felt like I couldn't grow anymore. I had my peak year before this. I put in an insane amount of work to grow the channel. Again, I wasn't focused enough on performance-wise, and I thought I'm just going to create content that I think people will like, that my audience will like, and not new audiences. But also sometimes like the transformation videos or like some new challenges. But I felt like I tried out my full potential in 2019, and I thought I figured it out. And you can see some peaks here. So I thought I figured it out in the beginning of 2019. Then I tried to create some content. I was really busy I was like different types of content and traveling as well. And this year, actually, I had sort of a gap year. So I could even spend even more time on it, which I did.
So more time, less views.
Not
very motivating.
And I just was a bit confused if there was actually a big future in YouTube and what I was doing at that point in 2019.
I remember this from episode 1, where we discussed your journey in terms of videos and what you did, where you said at the end of the year, I made a rewind. I think, was it this year?
Yes, that was this year.
You said like, I thought it was going to do absolutely mad, but as we can see in the graph right now, actually your views went to 0.
I thought the rewind is a topic every single year, except for 2020, a RIP. Rewind 2020. 2020, they didn't do it.
Oh, okay.
So YouTube Rewind is a really big thing on YouTube.
Fair.
And they didn't do it in 2020 because there was a lot of critique and the year was weird. So, but it was a big topic. So I thought I'm going to sort of use that in my own way, spend like a week on the editing, on everything. It's a great video, going fast. And it's about me. I mean, it's not about a transformation or anything, but it's about me. And I thought maybe my subscribers, because at this point I had 380,000 subscribers-ish, like that.
Still pretty decent.
Really good. So you would say if you have a video about you that is going really fast, epic, you get at least 1/3 of your subscribers' views, or people will be interested. And it was the worst performing video, one of the worst performing videos of the year after spending so much time. So I was really in a doubt of if I had not sort of seen my full potential on YouTube, and that this was going to be approximately what I was going to see. So being very realistic, I would still make videos forever. But as my main job, maybe I would have to look into a new business or something else, or a 9-to-5. At 20 million views a year, 22,000 revenue, then I would downscale that probably with like the half of the videos. So that would be 10 million views a year and 10,000 pre-tax in revenue, and have a normal job on the side. I would probably be able to do that. And then I would still have my hobby. But doing this, working this hard and sort of gambling it on it, I'm still young, so I'm 100% doing it. So that's what I said in 2019. I said, I'm just going to go full in on analytics. I'm just going to go 100% in optimizing videos. Just going to create what I think is epic and what other people think will be epic. If it's not epic, then I'm not going to upload it. And I sort of followed those pillars. Okay. And that's what I did in 2020.
Yeah. Before we got into 2020, it's funny. We started this episode by me asking, how did you afford the studio? Yeah. So we're now less than a year prior to you buying a studio. You're getting not a lot of views per day. You're not even close to being able to go to the bank and say, give me 200K loan.
This would take me 10 years to pay back. The studio is actually 250K with all investments.
Exactly. So something must have happened in 2020. And we're going to do a little cliffhanger here because I'm going to make a little sidestep. So again, we asked people on Instagram prior to this, like, hey, what questions should I ask Stan? And there were a few really good ones. So thank you so much for asking the questions. One was, what is the do's, but mainly the don'ts? What should you not do? What can get you demonetized? What sort of screws up everything?
When it comes to monetization.
What should you really not do?
Don't use copyrighted music.
Yeah.
A big example of this is actually David Dobrik. Do you know David Dobrik? No. Probably not. No. David Dobrik, really big YouTuber, lots of like insane big. He started lots of stuff as well, but he has around like 200 million views sometimes on his channel per month. He's making $2,000 a month with 200 million views.
Okay.
Like why? Because he uses copyrighted music.
Yep. Why would he do this?
Why would you do this? Right. Well, a good question. Don't. David Dobrik, if you're watching this, don't. It's not worth it.
Or maybe comment, let us know why you're doing this.
Let us know if you're watching this. But I think why he's doing it is because people will see that as the authentic David Dobrik. He is the guy who uses this famous song in his video, and it is really making the video how it's David Dobrik. So I really respect him for that, and that's crazy.
But then again, 200 million views, you said, right?
Yeah.
So that is 200,000 times whatever.
2-3.
So that's 400K. I mean,
500,000. He's missing out on $500,000 a month.
Okay, but I believe that there are ways you can actually use copyrighted music if you pay for it or if you buy it, or
yeah and no, because the songs he's using are these like really labeled artists, like the big artists.
Yeah, so you would have to make a deal with them,
you would have to make a deal with them, which is taking you probably like a month per song. Yeah. And there is actually a company right now upcoming that is using, I'm not sure what the name is, and they're licensing these really big labeled artists, and they are doing the work for you, and you can pay the song for like a few bucks. You can pay it, and then you can use it in your video. Really big artists like XXX, his song Sad, you can find on there in the library, and you can use that in your video.
Okay.
So David, maybe do that because you're missing out. Well, I mean, he kind of deserves it. There's actually some controversy around him, so I have no clue what's going on exactly. Yeah, that is definitely a don't. And a do is use non-copyrighted music. You can actually pay for it on a subscription platform. There are multiple out there. Artlist, you've got Epidemic Sound. So use that. It's a few bucks a month. If you're a YouTuber with a decent amount of views, definitely worth it. Definitely do it. It will up your content. So that is what I would definitely suggest. When it comes to even more significant thing is also the niche. Choose the right niche, and that includes RPM and CPM, but also do what you want.
That was actually another question I've seen in the Instagram questions was, is it important to niche down when it comes to YouTube?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say yes and no, because I started really niched in the fitness, calisthenics, bodyweight exercises. I did decent, but it's staggered, as you can see here. So I'm really focused on calisthenics people. And then I wanted to actually go a little bit more broad and appeal to the more broader audiences and more entertainment side. People actually. So the biggest niche is entertainment, always on the channel, or just really big challenges, I think, and music as well. But a niche can be really big. So if you're going to do something niche-wise, so let's say fitness, you can still add entertainment in there. And then you appeal to a really broader audience.
That's true.
So that's how I think.
Yeah, and I think with niching down, it also has pros and cons. If you're super specific, for example, I have a channel about cars, but only about a specific brand. Car. Maybe, brand car. Maybe the total audience you might reach isn't super good, but it might be super hardcore fan base, which watches everything.
There are actually a lot of Tesla channels out there. People who buy a Tesla for a channel to create content around that. And I am actually planning on maybe doing that because I find a Tesla very interesting. I've always been, I think it's one of my favorite cars.
Are you going to buy the Cybertruck?
Cybertruck will probably do really well on YouTube, but it's not the generic people car. So it's probably going to be the
Probably not allowed as well.
Model Y or something. Probably not allowed as well.
So Elon, I know where you're watching. DM us for sponsorship. Thanks.
Fun fact, Tesla does never do really sponsorship. So because they know their name, they know how big they are.
Of course,
they know that people are still going to buy it and the big names are going to buy it.
Still Elon.
Still Elon. But I like that, the way of thinking. And I would not buy the Tesla just for the channel because I like Tesla and I would definitely create a channel around it because I would want to shoot content with it. And I would probably shoot some fitness content related with the Tesla, some fun challenges. I would probably wait to integrate it, but that's like a 1-2 time off video, which is going to be fun. But besides that, I could make a lot of fun videos, like reaction videos to the Tesla taking off, which is already pretty, like, it's standard, but it's a lot of fun to do.
All right, that was a little sidestep. So we had 23K. I like saying we here, even though it's not going to my bank account. So we had $23,000 in 2019, and we know 2020 has to be much bigger. So
because otherwise I couldn't afford this studio.
And we know that you had an insane growth as well.
At the end of 2019, I stopped uploading after the YouTube Rewind video because I was really thinking, and I didn't stop with content or thinking. I just did a lot of research and a lot of, I wanted to be every single video from then on to be great. And that's what I did in 2020. And
you didn't even 10x.
I did not 10x.
No, went to 159,000, let's say 159,000.
$158,993.86 in 2020 last year. And fun thing is, if you're watching this on YouTube, but you're listening on Spotify and YouTube, you can see that it was actually going fairly the same in the beginning of 2020 compared to 2019 until May is when
it started.
So what did I do? I started the year off with a challenge with my sister, and that was basically the stepping stone for all the other videos and challenges that I did that year. I learned a lot throughout that phase about why people click off, why people watch certain content, what they find interesting, thumbnails that might not work. And I still have it wrong a lot of the time. Like it's a guessing game.
And love also changes.
People change. People have seen algorithm change.
Of course.
So what happened? Well, I just kept uploading consistently, and I think some videos that I uploaded in the phase where it did not go extremely well yet in 2020, if I would upload them right now, they would do insanely well. So it's also about the name that your channel has built and the algorithm kicking in a little bit. But we start the year off with $40, $50 to $134 a day. to somewhere in May where we built to 1,100, around 1,100 for a few days.
4-figure day.
Per day, so 1,100 a day. And I just started integrating a lot more, what I learned throughout all these phases. And I was going crazy. It was crazy. Like the channel has insane growth, but I was spending even more than 80 hours a week. I was spending so much time on, because I was loving what I was doing and it was working out. In 2019, ending with thinking like,
this is not going to work.
This has to be sort of the year to prove me wrong, that I'm not having any more potential to grow, to a year where, if you look at it right now, almost 100 million views, and we gained 680,000 subscribers, which is insane. Almost 6 million watch hours, to go back to the
4,000.
4,000 to getting monetizable. Yeah. So 100 million views is a 5x from the year prior, so 2019.
But your revenue more than 5x'd, it almost 10x'd.
Which means
your RPM must be going up.
And my RPM did indeed go up. And here we see if you're looking on YouTube, and if not, I tell you right now that we're starting the year off with around $1.40, and it's also going lower. So January, lower months for RPM and CPM. And it's building up throughout the year, and in September it's going up to almost $3 per
December,
per 1,000
even more.
views. And it's going up in December even more, indeed, to the peak of $3.37 on December 27th. And here in 2020, actually something similar happened as in 2017, I think it was, or 2018.
2018, I think.
Where there were a few days with basically
almost zero,
$10, $7, almost $0 in a day, because YouTube just made a mistake. I was like, hey, what's happening?
Yeah, and you can see how this becomes more and more of an impact, because if you're making normally $50 a day and you lose a day, okay, it's shit. If you're starting to make
around $100 a day
exactly,
here, so
exactly,
that was gone.
And if it would happen near the end of the year where you're making multiple thousands sometimes a day, then losing 10 days would be a Tesla.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. So meaning that from March 20 to March 26-ish, 25-ish. So that would be $500 I missed out on. And that's how YouTube works. So like they're saying like, yeah, we don't know exactly what happened with a certain video.
Again, third party that you're running. Yeah.
But all right, that's what I signed up for.
It's what you signed up for. I think you can see a very, very nice growth here in this year. It also explains how you were able to, get into this, which brings me to the next question we had on Instagram. Well, it was about the studio, how you bought it. So did you finance it, or did you pay it out of pocket? Did you? And if you did finance it, roughly how much do you still need to repay?
So I did finance it, and I actually. We started the journey for the studio. We started it here in February, and I was making around $63 a day here. So that would be around $2,000-$3,000 a month.
Yep,
something like that. That's what I was earning per month at the beginning of 2020, and that means that yes, it was more than before, because that was a few thousand, a little bit more.
And of course, just we're speaking about YouTube revenue right now, but of course, when you go to a bank or someone to give you money, they won't only look at your YouTube revenue. They would also look at all the other revenue streams, like sponsorships, affiliate marketing. But of course, it is a bit more than this. I understand, but
it was on the edge of not being able to buy the studio.
Exactly.
Actually, if we had only a few, like one bank, from my experience now, less in the Netherlands, I would not be sitting here right now, or at least I would still be in the building of this, because then I would have later just financed it partly myself. In the beginning of 2020, when I didn't have an insane amount of capital, I felt like I needed it. I felt like I need to have a new challenge, and I think I can do it. It's going better. I see a sort of a line going up in revenue a little bit. And I'm just going to go for it. I just want to build my own studio, my own gym. And that's what I went to a bank. I got declined multiple times. And I got accepted by a bank here in the Netherlands, Rabobank, which was epic. And they helped me a lot. And then there was some exponential growth, and I could pay back some of the loan that I did. So
but you probably don't want to repay fast, because then you just pay.
Yeah, exactly. So that's an entire new topic for investing. If you should invest all your money, or if you should pay it back, or you just should just.
Or even
invest
if you
the money.
pay it back, they don't really make you pay a fine. So they just calculate how much interest would we have gotten in 30 years, and you still have to pay that. So there's no real.
So I could actually pay back around 50K without a fine. Yeah. So I did that as well. So I financed, I think I financed 150K, and I paid back 50K right now. So I still have around 100K in debt. Well, this is also, again, as a reminder, pre-tax.
Of course.
So that's nice. But yeah, I still have some money to pay back, and it's going great. So I'm pretty sure that's going to work out. But I'm extremely thankful that this is actually possible, and I really wanted this studio to be able to make as much content that I do right now, because otherwise this podcast would not exist at all.
No, we would not do this in the old place where you were filming.
No, we would not be able to.
So let's zoom in to a few months. So let's select just January 2020. Where were we?
January 2020, we were at $2,000 a month pre-tax. RPM of one going down, but that is normal in the, well, this is still very low, but this is normal, more normal in the January month.
Exactly. And now let's zoom in on December. To actually see what happened, at the end of the year where the insane growth was, because of course 150 something thousand, it was not linear.
No, definitely.
Which was also a question on Instagram. Was it linear or exponential growth?
The entire growth was definitly not a linear.
You can already see.
You've seen that. December is 18,000. So that is a big difference. That is. I almost 10x.
Almost, yeah.
In 1 year, which is crazy. Or we 10x, actually. We did that. So, and it's been a steady $500 a day here in December, 800. But these are like obviously the
best months as well.
Higher paying months. So
that brings us to this year. 2021. As I said, if we just keep looking at what you were making, I'd expect like a 300K year from you.
2021.
Yeah.
A 300K year. Maybe. We'll see.
So far.
Because so far we have 35 million views. We gained 270,000 subscribers in the, where are we? We are in
April 10th.
April 10th. So we are like 3 months and 10 days in.
Yep.
That's
so times 4, it's easy. So you're at $88,832 so far this year. So times 3 or 4, 300K, easy.
Could be doable.
You don't even have December yet.
We started the year with $300. First day of January, the RPM here went down like crazy compared to December.
We were at over 3 and now at 1.6.
1.6. So it divided by 2. So it that's a big chunk less. And you can see it go up throughout this year so far. Also had to do with a few videos that also were a little bit money related, with the push-up challenge and money related. So that did really well. But we have an RPM that is overall a lot steadier, quote unquote, better than definitely here, almost $5. And here it goes down again right now to
2.5 roughly.
2.5, which is a normal RPM, a good normal RPM.
Within your niche.
Within my niche, my the normal niche, entertainment niche is probably 2 higher, and so I would have expected around 3 right now, and I think it's a little bit less, but we're still in earlier in the year, so we're gonna see.
This reminds me of yet another question we had, which is, if say you are in the entertainment workout niche and you just make a video on finance, would that video be ranked as a finance video?
Great question. Yes and no. It would definitely impact it most of the time, because I've seen that, because I just the push-up video I just talked about, the finance YouTube video, there's just a dollar prize in there. It did better, but I'm not too sure if it's because of that price or just because it's longer and has a lot more ads. Also, so the do's and don'ts, short videos are also not really good for revenue. Shorts actually do not generate any revenue at all. And we have on the channel right now, guy behind the camera, we have a short going viral. And with Arjen, guy in the blue shirt, we have a short going viral right now, which is gaining sometimes 50,000 views an hour, which is going towards 2 million views now, with I think 73 cents is what it made. 73 cents so far. So, but the shorts are again, most of them are also shorts to make, but they're a lot of fun to make. So that's it. The short channel is just it's purely for fun, and maybe reaching a different audience that are going for short. So,
and maybe through that they actually go to the Browney channel or to your podcast channel or whatever.
Maybe,
so,
maybe.
Yeah.
So if you look at the revenue here, it's a little bit less, but it's still crazy if you think about it.
It's funny how right now you say that when it's less, you're speaking about $400 or $500 a day. And
it is crazy.
If you rewind this episode 10, 15 minutes, we're speaking about $10, $50 a day as a good day. So it's fun.
It's always comparable. And also I have a lot more cost right now in the studio, obviously. So
of course.
But it's just crazy. And it's also just what I'm looking at in the screen, because good days would be $1,800 a day and 665 all pre-tax, by the way, just as a side note.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy. If you look at a few months right now, 21,000, 25,000. So yes, for those who are
32,000. So it is really going up.
Yeah.
So all in all, I think
it takes time.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can take away here. First of all, I hope that you learned about CPM, RPM, and all those things, because that's interesting to know about what you should never do, what you should do, but also just to see that even it might seem easy, or it might be like, oh, I've been struggling for a while. You've been struggling for a long time. If you look at your revenue, not saying that you were hating it, but it takes time.
I loved it, but I was a bit doubtful if it was going to be what I was going to do in the future. Well, it was definitely going to be what I was going to do in the future as a hobby, but as my main job and having a team right now, because there's a team. Like I'm literally hiring my friends and family, which is amazing. And I'm able to do that because of this. Otherwise, I would definitely not be able to do this. So you guys, people who are watching, would definitely not be able to see the videos that there are right now if it wasn't for the YouTube channel doing so great. And I think one of the main takeaways maybe for people is when you said one of the big changes, you actually really looked at where are people cutting off, what are they not watching. So you really went into the analytics. Oh, I put so much.
But that's, I mean, for you, that's like, yeah, of course you had to spend a lot of time on it, but I think that is major key if you actually want to improve your channel.
100%. It was 100% worth it, and I actually love my quote-unquote work that I do right now, and that's why I'm here in the studio. We talked about this in my routine. I'm here working on the YouTube channel.
A bit too much
right now. Maybe a bit too much, but I'm working here from probably like 8:30 to 11 in the evening, and that's my routine. That's my routine.
Yeah. My
standard routine is that every single day, Monday to Sunday, with some workouts in between and recording, and I love every single bit of it. And I would say on that note, that is what I am making right now, and I kind of owed it to people that might know my video from 2020, where I talked about my $1,800 a month YouTube channel, which was that was far beyond below minimum wage. So that's why I was a little bit. It was not a rant video, but a little bit towards YouTube, like, hey, what's going on with the RPM as well? Because like a channel with 2-3 million views a month should be able to live at least at home, like with you don't have to need an insane studio.
You should be able to have a proper life with it, basically. Be able to live properly.
Yeah, and I was making 1,800 pre-tax, so 2,000 pre-tax dollars. So in euros, it's even less. It's less. But I am extremely thankful.
I think so. And I think this is super interesting. I think a lot of people want to know this. Again, keep in mind, this is pre-tax, but it's also not including any sponsorships or any affiliate things. So of course, maybe in the future, as far as you're allowed to speak with it, of course, some contracts won't allow you.
If people are interested in that,
we can definitely go into that. For everyone else, we have a Patreon where we will actually continue this conversation and go even deeper into some of the topics and how to generate money and, really do's and don'ts. We'd love if you would join there. So actually, for $5 a month, you can see more things. And you can even, we have a lot of things, get mentored by the two of us. It's a bit more expensive, but you actually have weekly calls with both of us. Yes. There's a lot of things there. It's in the show notes. Thank you so much for watching, Stan. Thanks so much for actually showing this. I know not everyone would just show this.
I hope people enjoyed it and maybe took some key points from this. And my main key point here will be put in the time, spend the time, and make sure you're just doing what you love. And at some point, I mean, it could go 10x sometimes, and maybe it goes 2x, and that's enough for you to make your content, and you love what you're doing, and you're doing your stuff.
And let's agree on one thing: the end of the year, we will show again.
2021?
2021, end of the year, we'll show again.
Maybe it goes divided by 10.
Who knows? And maybe we'll have to sell the studio. I'll buy it from you. I like this place.
To sell the studio. All right, guys.
Thank you so much for watching and listening.
See you in the next episode.
See you next time.
Listen. Bye-bye.